The NFL draft is in the books, which means it's time for your Dynasty rookie draft. In this video, I'm going to be walking you through 8 sleepers available late down the board, either the back of the second or later, that you need to be targeting now that we know their landing spot. If you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing. But for now, let's take a look at the first sleeper. A few years ago, people wouldn't have considered drafting a tight end within the first couple of rounds in a Dynasty rookie draft. We kind of assumed that they wouldn't be able to contribute early. But when we had Sam Laporta finishing as the tight end one a couple of years ago, and now Brock Bowers last year, people are more open to the idea that a tight end is not a piece that's going to develop in 4 years' time, but actually someone that can be able to start for you right away. And obviously in this class, we had Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren. But going towards the back of the second round is another tight end who I think is going to be a key part of his offense on day one, and that is Mason Taylor. Taylor was drafted at 42 overall out of LSU to the New York Jets, a completely wide open depth chart in terms of receivers. Garrett Wilson is obviously the number one on the team, but behind him there's essentially nothing. I was anticipating them targeting wide receiver across the board, but they really didn't, aside from the draft pick of Arian Smith in round 4. So for Mason Taylor, who essentially functions as a big slot, he is going to have a great opportunity to be the number 2 target on this team from day one. There's a lot of work he needs to do on his blocking, but we aren't in points per pancake league. A shame, actually, because that's something that I definitely win. But his receiving skills are second to none, and I think there's a really good chance that he's going to establish himself as a firm favourite for Justin Fields. His ability to extend outside of his frame will help with the fact that Fields isn't really the most accurate distributor of the ball, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him finish as the tight end one in this class in 2025. If you've watched any of my content before, you won't be surprised to see Tai Felton out of Maryland head here, and Tai Felton was taken with the last pick on day 2, heading to the Minnesota Vikings. Day 2 draft capital was incredibly exciting for a wide receiver who was consistently mocked towards the back end of the 4th or early 5th round. He is going to walk straight into the Vikings as the starting slot in that offense. They are needy for a wide receiver 3 behind obviously Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, and he does bring something slightly different in terms of skill set. Someone that I think can start as that shifty underneath quick twitch athlete that can work in the slot to be able to then navigate out from there. Think relatively similar to how JSN worked with Geno Smith last season. This is something I think he will thrive in, with new quarterback JJ McCarthy being able to start. I think there's really a role for Tai Felton in this offense. Plus, in your Dynasty rookie drafts, Tai Felton is currently being mocked midway down the 4th. And with an incredible offensive coordinator and head coach in Kevin O'Connell, I think there's a chance that the fact that they targeted Tai Felton, given how few picks they had, means they see him as a key part of this offense. With potential legal troubles for Jordan Addison incoming and him being up for an extension this year, I wouldn't be surprised to see this be one of the best value picks in your rookie draft if you can get Tai Felton, who eventually becomes the wide receiver 2 for the Vikings, all the way down in round 4. If you're enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. There's so much great content coming your way this offseason, and I can't wait to share all of it with you. But let's take a look at the next sleeper. Woody Marks is one of the best receiving backs in this class. He definitely lacks some wiggle on the ground and lacks some long speed, but for a receiving role, his hands and his ability to run routes are some of the most impressive that I saw when scouting this incoming rookie class, and he landed in a pretty perfect spot. He landed in Texas. He landed with the Houston Texans, serving as the backup for Joe Mixon this next season. The Texans are really lacking in running back depth, and Joe Mixon is approaching age 30. We've started to see a little bit of regression from him. He's definitely not as explosive in Houston as he was in Cincinnati, and Woody Marks will be the perfect complement to him in terms of being able to work out of the backfield and taking his place for third downs. But the most exciting thing about Woody Marks is just quite how empty that depth chart is. He is clearly going to serve as the running back too, and he's available in your rookie drafts all the way in the top of the 4th round, making him a clear target. If there's an injury to Joe Mixon, he could end up being a league-winning back in redraft. But in the long term, I think they drafted him to take that third down role and potentially have some upside to usurp Mixon as Mixon begins to age out. On day 3 of the NFL draft, the Rams traded up in round 4 to go and select Jarquez Hunter. Now, this wasn't someone that I hugely had on my radar before the draft, but I will trust draft capital and I will trust when a team says that this is one of their targets. There's reports that Sean McVay and Les Snead had Hunter as their top offensive player on the board heading into day 3, and they decided that they couldn't wait to see if he made it to them and had to go out and get their guy. Now, I've spoken quite a lot this offseason about the fact that I'm not 100% confident that Kyren Williams is part of the long-term future of this team. There are reports that he's asking for $12 million a year in an extension, which he's up for immediately. If that's the case, I think they will likely move on from him. Drafting Blake Corum last year in the 3rd round and now Hunter in the 4th seems to make it likely that they see the replacements in-house. And Hunter is the way more explosive back. When you take a look at the percentage of his runs that went for 30 plus yards this last year in college. Sean McVay has been looking for an explosive element to add to the backfield, and they went and got it in Hunter. It wouldn't surprise me if he quickly usurps Blake Corum on the depth chart, who McVay seemed incredibly hesitant to use last year. And if Kyren Williams is either traded this season or let walk at the end of next season, Jarquez Hunter could immediately find himself as the starting running back in one of the most exciting offenses in the league, which by that point is going to be quarterbacked by Arch Manning. I'm going to say you heard it here first. You didn't hear it here first. It was really a surprise to me to see Pat Bryant go all the way in the 3rd round, but the Broncos are a fantastic landing spot for him. Pat Bryant is someone that you can develop as an X, a true outside wide receiver, as I explored in my video profile on him. He's someone that knows how to win at the boundary, has a good combination of size and speed, and while he is not the fastest athlete in terms of long speed, I think his ability to contort his body, that body control at the boundary, is going to be a incredibly useful skill set for Bo Nix. Now, the only thing with the Denver Broncos is that they're not really lacking for size in their wide receiving core. They're kind of more needy of that quick twitch or slot athlete who can potentially get a huge amount of targets. But with Cortland Sutton starting to age out, and actually Devon Vele starting to age out, even though he was just a rookie last year, there's a chance that Pat Bryant could have a huge starting role in this offense. It's someone that they clearly targeted and someone that the wide receivers seemed to be slightly higher on, as there were reports that a couple of teams traded out of their pick after the Broncos once they selected Bryant. So I think given the fact that he's going all the way at the back of the 3rd, this could be someone that you need to be targeting in your rookie drafts. Tory Horton was someone that I really found interesting scouting coming out of Colorado State. He clearly succeeded on the boundary as an X-receiver and showed a rare combination of size, speed, and hands. But there were definitely some difficulties in scouting his profile because he had very poor quarterback play and, playing at Colorado State, played against some incredibly poor opposition, as well as having a few injuries throughout his time in college. So I was really intrigued to see where he ended up going. I think he was definitely drafted slightly too late, as I preferred him to some of the other wide receivers that went before him. But landing in Seattle is a perfect landing spot for him. The Seahawks made an interesting move this offseason, ending up signing Sam Darnold, who is better at throwing deep than throwing underneath and in the intermediate areas, and then signing Cooper Kupp, while also trading away DK Metcalf and cutting Tyler Lockett. So basically, they cut their vertical guys, signed a second slot receiver to go with JSN, and then signed someone who doesn't really like throwing to the slot and prefers to throw it vertical. Tory Horton has a chance to come in immediately as the starting boundary wide receiver on the Seattle Seahawks for a quarterback who likes to throw it deep down the field. His matchup with Sam Darnold's skill set is perfect, and there is a clear need for size and speed at the boundary on this team. There's really no one else on the depth chart who can do what he does unless you truly think it's Jake Bobo season. So for me, available at the back of the 3rd, Tory Horton is someone you have to be targeting. This is definitely more of a developmental pick, but if he can develop, he is going to have a clear starting role in the Seattle offense basically as soon as he can grab it. And finally, once again, if you've watched my content, it's no surprise to see this name here. Brashard Smith out of SMU was one of my favourite running backs that I scouted this last offseason. Coming out of SMU, played 3 years at wide receiver and then converted to running back in his final season, and it really shows on film. I have no hesitation in saying that I thought Brashard Smith was the best receiving back in this class. There's definitely some faults to his game. He definitely can struggle with vision and can struggle with footwork. It shows that he is new to the position, but coming out of the backfield, being split out wide, being running routes out of the slot, there is no comparison for me between him and any other running back in this class. Now, the NFL clearly didn't agree with that. He fell all the way to the 7th round, but he fell to Kansas City. If there's one team that needed a complementary role out of the backfield to their starting running back, it is the Chiefs. Smith will probably come in and play the Jerick McKinnon role. That's probably the upside for him, and I don't expect him to do a huge amount within the first half of the season. But with Isaiah Pacheco showing that he doesn't have a huge amount of upside to his game and isn't the best receiving back in the world, I wouldn't be surprised to see Brashard Smith take over the backfield, particularly on third downs. But as the season continues, showing that he is the better athlete to Isaiah Pacheco and potentially becoming more of a complementary role. If he can take over the receiving work in this Kansas City Chiefs offense, the sky is the limit for Brashard Smith, and he's available all the way down at the back of the 5th in your rookie drafts. Yeah, I loved him pre-draft, so I'm always going to be a little bit higher on him, but I'm going to end up with 1 million shares of Brashard Smith this offseason. That is going to do it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below in the comments if there's any sleepers that you think I've missed. Who is it that you're going to be targeting in the late rounds of your rookie drafts? And while you're there, subscribe to the channel and like this video, and you can check out all of the other amazing content available on my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.